So I did this part of the project like this, and the placing of the rebars of all of the parts has been finished for now. And so after that, we go to the retaining structure for this part. So I'll go here and open up its file, open this up, okay on this, and alright. So here we have the retaining structure in this part. And then in these diagonal pieces, we have the dynamic bars, and down here you can see the details as well, which will look like this, although this has some issues in it, and we need to recheck the planning as well for these columns and beams as well. And the drawing of these parts was no different than the ones that we've done before. I just used the steel tools that we have up here. So I chose steel for the columns, the braces, and the beam system that we have under this structure tab. And in this part, you can see the steel plate as well. So after that, you should note that we have these as sort of a temporary structures, and they're not permanent. So in order to show all of the structure to you clearly, I'll go here and save the file up to this point. And as a side note, you should know that this may take you some while. The drawing of the structure and the rebars all need to be done with high attention to details, and this might take you for like 2 or 3 weeks. So after that, I'll go to the visibility section here under the graphics tab. Let's just give it a chance to save the file completely. Let's see how long it takes to load up and get to the rest of the work. Alright, I'll open up the visibility graphics menu, and then I'll find the floor in the visibility column and then put its transparency on 50%. After that, we'll find the stairs and increase its transparency as well. Then we'll go to the structural columns and the foundation as well. After that, the framing, put this transparency on 50%, and then we do the same for walls as well. Then I'll hit apply and OK. So I made these elements transparent so we can see the rebars inside of them as well. And here you can see the rebars clearly. We'll make sure to put this in the pack as well, so when you want to work on it yourselves and you come up across any issues, you can look at the file and then progress according to it. Or you can use as rebars, or just have them as an example when you want to make your own. So now we want to export this. As you can see here, we do have some details, which if you're familiar with the Revit file, you won't have any problems with. And you will probably have to deal with tools that you're already familiar with. But I'll just give you some important tips for this now. Let me first go to the View tab. Here we have an option named Graphical Column Schedule. And when I select this, it loads up the types of all of the columns in the file itself. I'll put this on Fine, and then I'll scroll down this menu here and open up the material types and just check the steel. So uncheck all of these except for the steel and then hit OK. And now you can see what it looks like. Here I'll select this and tell it to put each 20 of the columns in one row. There we go. And then after that, we'll go to the other section and open up the hidden levels option. And because some of the levels here may make it a bit messy and hinder your performance, we can check them here to hide them. So I'll select these over here. Let me see, let's just leave this one on visible and then OK. And now it's just a bit cleaner and easier to work with. So now I'll close the schedule and then proceed back to the SOFISTIK tab. Here I'll create a new sheet first. So select this to open it up, and then here select none because we just want the space of the sheet and not the sheet itself. Alright, after that, I'll make a duplicate of the 3D view, duplicate in detailing. There it is, and then I'll rename the new one the rebar numbering. Alright, so after that, after I've done the typing of this, we'll go over here and click on zoom to fit option, and then we'll just have to wait for the file to load it up and get to the next command. I think the file's gotten a bit heavy, and that's why the commands are taking this long. So after we've done that, we can take a look at the plan because we only need the rebars in this part. And so we can select the columns and the beams and what else, and just hide them for now so that it doesn't get messy and we can work the project much easier. For example, I'll open up the graphics menu and uncheck the floors and the generic models as well, and then go down here, uncheck the structural beam systems and the columns as well, and the connections too. And then let's keep the fabric for now and uncheck the foundations and the framing, keep the path reinforcements, and uncheck the walls as well. So we practically just have the rebars here so that the file is a bit easier to work with due to its size. So I'll save the file up to this point, and then after that I'll click here and select the save orientation and the lock view option. Alright, so after that we'll go over here to the sheets and proceed to open up this sheet 1 file that we have, and then I'll select the 3D duplicate that we've created named rebar numbering and then drag it into the sheet. Alright, so then I'll click on this part. So I want to base the numbering on this view, and then if we go into any other views, the numbering is done by the same system as well, because normally the numbering is done based on the sheet. Here I'll select the sheet file and then rename it to, let's say for the number we'll choose 0 point start, and then for the name itself we'll type in numbering. Alright, hit OK after that, and then we go to the plan and double click on this, the plan in the sheet file, and then over here under the file tab we have a tool called assign. I'll select it and just wait a bit because the file's a bit heavy and it might take some time. Alright, so now that it's done, we can select any of these, and let me just put the visibility on solid, hit OK, so that it turns all of these solid and we can take a good look at them. Alright, so now as you can see, this has been turned to solid as well. And so I'll go down the menu here of the structure rebar, and you can see what it looks like. So now after that, let me just select this for a moment and then go here in the identity data. Here the mark hasn't been assigned yet. So I'll select the set mark tool. Here we'll check the rebar box, and the start number is going to be 1 and the increment is going to be 1 as well. So the fabric sheet is going to start from 1 as well, the increment is going to be 1, and the same goes for the tendon as well. And if you've already placed the marks, I can check the renew all marks box and then hit OK. So now it says this is going to be based on the sheets that we have here. You may want to do the numbering of each sheet differently, and you'd want each one of them to be separate. And you can say, for example, the plan 1, which has the beam type 9, the numbering for this is going to be this. But we want all of the project to have a united numbering. So I'll hit OK here, and then we'll wait for the numbering, and it might take some while because of the size.